Embrace the authentic, confident you so you can feel good in your skin and have deeper relationships. The Inviting Shift podcast focuses on how we step through this messy journey of life confidently so we can feel good about how we show up, have more deeper relationships, and connect to purpose and meaning. Or, in short, how we manifest the lives we crave in practical, tangible ways. Here's the thing, we can't move forward until we are clear. Today, we're talking about clarity and the questions we most need to get there. I mean, of course, there's a ton of questions we could ask, but unless you have time for a 30-day journaling excavation, I've leveled it down to the most essential questions that will move you forward or even help you in one of those uncomfortable situations like an unplanned, challenging conversation or when you're feeling triggered. And first, a side note. There are times when trying to get clarity is going to be more of a challenge. The reason is because there are certain moods or energies that we can get into that we don't fare well for decisions or clarity. It's mainly when you are in your inner child. Stress or big choices or challenges, even lots of everyday things can be overwhelming when we are sitting in our child archetype. So if you're feeling hungry, angry, lonely, tired, sick, or PMS, you may benefit from taking care of those feelings before diving into clarity. When we want to tap into clarity, ensuring our physical and emotional body are in a good state, or as best of a state as possible, is key. If we want to make our decisions from the adultier place, a woman or man place, then those decisions are more sound and aligned with what we truly want than coming from that panic or overwhelm of the child. So let's move forward. Once we've settled our physical and emotional bodies as much as possible, maybe with some slow breaths, we can ask ourselves these essential questions. And I hope you'll think about one thing that you can relate these questions to, maybe something that you need some clarity on now, some instance of your life, something that you want to step into new. It can be anything, dating, life purpose, side passion, a relationship, whatever it is that you need more clarity about. Come up with one or two. Great. Then we'll start with the first question. The first question to clarity is, what do I want? And I know this seems like a simple question, but the answer seems to always be a bit polluted with a lot of thoughts. And I want you, I'm inviting you to go a little bit deeper than that. What do you really want when it comes to the thing you are thinking about? If you want to start dating again, your goal may be finding the one. If you are looking for more purpose, your goal may be finding something that lights you up and gives back. If you want more clarity about a relationship, having clear communication may be your actual goal. But there's more than that. That's the goal, which is great. We've been taught to visualize the goal. It gives us something to aim for. But I always wanted a bit more clarity than that. If you are a perfectionist like I was never satisfied with the end because it never looked exactly like I wanted it to. I can remember the things that don't look the way I wanted from 20 years ago. And them not looking exactly like I wanted didn't make them mistakes or failures. Sometimes the way it turned out was better, but I didn't get to enjoy it because I had specific visual expectations. So let's go a little deeper than the goal and find the intentions. The goal is what it looks like. Intentions are how we are going to show up for it. Intentions come from what we truly want out of it. So here's the key. Everything that we want comes down to feelings. We want what we want because we hope to feel something when we accomplish it. That's what we are truly going for. So if I want to start dating again, I might truly want connection, intimacy, companionship. If I want more purpose, then I might actually want fulfillment, meaning, peace. If I need more clarity about a relationship, I might want flowing communication, understanding, kindness. So tune into that want that you have for more clarity. Even if you can see it exactly what it looks like or not, tune it into your body. If you were successful at this situation or desire, how would that feel? You can even visualize being successful. How would you feel? Try to come up with some feeling words or any words that can really describe the sensation of success in this area. Breathe 3 to 5 of those in. The 3 to 5 that most light you up. Maybe even write them down so you don't forget. Beautiful. Now you know exactly what you want, and you don't have to wait for a success to feel that way. The best way to move forward is with those feelings. So if you want to feel connection, intimacy, and companionship in your life, you need to say and do things with connection, intimacy, and companionship. You need to leave lots of space open for connection, intimacy, and companionship. Or if you want more self-love and confidence, you need to choose to put self-love and confidence in before you feel it. So now that we have clarity around the goal or intentions, let's go to some big questions so we can move the blocks to getting what we want out of the way. So again, the first question was, what do I want? And we are focused on intentions, how we can show up to it. Question 2, what do I control? We want to control everything. That's our visual goal often. It'll look exactly like this when it's successful. The problem is we don't control all of the things. There are outside forces and unpredictable people that can always impact the goal, and trying to control things that are not in our control makes us insane. It keeps us judging ourselves because somehow we think we should be able to control all of the details. The truth is, we have very little control in the world. It might sound scary at first, but when you really step into it, it's actually relieving. Because the only thing you truly control is yourself. Your energy, your health, your feelings, your time. Does that mean that we can't change relationships or things outside of ourselves? No, of course we can influence them. We can show up the way that will be most helpful. But we can blame ourselves or the other person or thing. It's just something that's out of my control. So we don't need to go to blame. What you control most is you. You can move yourself to do the thing. You can ask for help. You can step up, getting moving on something new. Even with fear, you can control all of those things. Trouble comes when we expect everything to go according to plan. And it reminds me of this quote that says, when I make plans, God laughs, or something like that. And there's also this AA quote that states the expectations are premeditated resentments. Expectations are premeditated resentments. Asking ourselves what we control gets us clear on what we can truly create expectations around that are realistic, rather than expecting the entire universe to conform to our vision. Stop trying to force things to turn out as you want them to, and perhaps open up to the next question, because it will turn out much better than you could have planned it. Yes, honestly. So question number 3, what do I need to accept? So what is it out of all of this that you truly need to learn how to accept? And these run the gamut, right? So go through all of your fears, all of those things that make you uncomfortable. I might have to accept that this is going to be hard. I might need to accept that I don't control that person's part of the project. I might need to accept that I can't control the weather for that outside event that I am planning. All the things that we do not control that scare us are things that we can surrender to. I know I don't like that word either, so I hope that you'll forgive me for using it. But yes, surrender and acceptance are two of the most peaceful action words that I can imagine. And sometimes there's lots of things that we need to accept. And we're going to go over this question a little bit more as we go over the ritual at the end. So I hope that you'll keep tuning in so that you can see exactly how I get to what I need to accept. And oftentimes it's just that this is going to be new and hard, that it's going to be uncomfortable, that it is going to challenge me. So what is it that we need to accept? So question 1 was, what do I want? Question 2 is, what do I control? Question 3, what do I need to accept about this in order to move forward with my intentions in mind? And right after this message, we're going to come back to question number 4, my favorite, the best. So tune right back in. This podcast is supported by Christina Smith Coaching as a service to get you to have more confidence and self-love. One way we do that is by bringing what we learn into our bodies, by lighting up our senses. Some people call these types of exercises rituals. I think they're really alignments. Something we do each day to align with what we truly want rather than getting stuck in the default of trying to outrun what we don't. I bet you could use a little self-love ritual today, and there's a short quiz or survey to pick the best one for you. You can go to the link in the description to take the free quiz to get the self-love alignment that is right for you right now. You'll also get a download of 5 self-love rituals so you can switch it up and try one each day. Our little thank you for tuning into our podcast and into your own heart. And we're back with question number 4 and a ritual, and you're going to love all of this. The 4th question, the most important question: how do you want to show up? When you are winning, how do you want to show up? When things are going wrong, how do you want to show up? When you're triggered, how do you want to show up? When you're meeting new people, when you're committing to goals, when you have hard conversations, when you are feeling completely you and happy, how do you want to show up? The key is finding out where all those meet. But in the meantime, think back to question number 1. What do you really want out of this? Those feelings, and this is important because I know that we've all said we want to be happy when I get to college, when I get that promotion, when I buy a house, when I'm out of debt. Ever get to one of those goals and when you got there, you didn't actually feel happy? Usually we're off to new horizons, on to new goals, and we completely forget to be happy for more than maybe a moment. And why? Because we haven't been conditioning ourselves to be happy. We've conditioned ourselves to sacrifice that happiness for a moment of success. We need the happy along the way. We are in charge of infusing it into our lives, for looking for it, for cultivating space and energy for it, all along the way. We can't suddenly experience tons of lasting happiness unless we put it in. So what we want out, we have to put in. If I want to feel confident, joyful, and graceful, then I need to approach life, people, situations, challenges, decisions with confidence, joy, and grace. Because what I focus on grows, and more importantly, we are conditioning ourselves to align with what we truly want. If I have to put more confidence, joy, and grace in, then I am focusing on those in the world and seeing more of them and collecting more evidence that my life is full of confidence, joy, and grace. And then, even if circumstances or goals don't show up exactly how I'd like, I can ask myself if I showed up like I wanted to. With the knowledge that I had at the time, of course, not in hindsight. And I can judge myself on that because that's what I had control over, how I show up to it. I love what Elizabeth Gilbert says about the genius. She says she sees it like the Greeks and the Romans, as though it was just a spirit that came to visit people, or in her case, artists and writers. The artist's job is to show up. Whether the genius comes or not is not their responsibility. They only need to show up to do the thing the best they can. So your job is to show up in a way that feels good to you, which cycles us back to what we actually want. Remember, what we want, we have to put in. So let's visualize for a second. If you can, close your eyes if it's safe to do so, or just gaze off. And let's just take some deep breaths to get in our body and get grounded. And let's think about your everyday life. Every day, I'm going to find more ways to feel the way I want to. And repeat those words to yourself, the words you came up with, how you wanted it to feel. Every day, I'm going to find ways to feel more. When I make decisions, I am going to keep my intentions in mind. Each time I finish one of these, just say your intentions to yourself. When I go to work, mother my children, come home, go on vacation, go to the doctor, I am going to keep my intentions in mind. When I wake in the morning, I'm going to keep my intentions in mind. When I go to bed at night, I'm going to keep my intentions in mind. When I talk to friends or strangers, I'm going to keep my intentions in mind. Picture yourself doing all of those things with your intentions in mind. How might it shift the way that you get things done in your life, or how you show up to them? You have the ability to show up in an intentional way if you do it mindfully. What are some ways you can really see yourself showing up exactly how you want to feel? We have to make the choice to do it, even when we don't feel like it. This is why we have to do it mindfully. Okay, take a breath and come back. Now the fun part, how can we bring it into the body? Now, of course, you can use these questions at any time, and if you want, you can make it a bit more physical and bring it into the body. I love what some people call rituals. For me, I like to call them alignments. They align our body to what our mind and our inner wisdom are bringing up. Plus, rituals usually include in getting in your body and your heart space. When we can get out of the mind and get the gut aligned with the mind, with the heart and the body, so much magic can happen. So if you're making a big shift or decision and need some clarity, you can make a whole event out of it, or just take the pieces of this ritual and take what fits for you and leave what doesn't. You can also make a 30-second ritual with just one or two of the ritual elements if that's what you choose. It just depends on your time frame and the depth of the clarity you're looking for. I'll walk you through the full blown out ritual, which I have come to love. I do it at least on a monthly basis, but take with you what works and leave the rest. And get creative if you want. Add on to whatever you like. It's all up to you. You can go through all 4 questions with this alignment, so you don't even need to do any pre-work. So here we go, and let's start with the setup. With rituals, our senses are essential. It's how we get back into our bodies and get really present rather than stuck in the monkey mind that wants to do something more or less productive or useful. Setting the space reminds us how important this is and the clarity of the ultimate purpose. Getting to know yourself clearly and making authentic grown decisions is important. So back to the senses. Gather things like pretty candles to look at, great smells like essential oils, coffee, etc. Great feels, maybe your favorite pen, a stone to touch, some comfortable clothing. Great sounds like music, or if you like bells or chimes. And great taste, maybe your favorite beverage or a little sweet treat. And then also bring a journal and a writing utensil. And in my rituals, I usually bury something or burn something. So if you have space to bury something near your home, you'll just need some small pieces of paper, a small box. The small box will only be holding those small papers, so it really doesn't need to be very big at all. And then a hole to bury the box in. If you prefer cremation, a safe place for fire to burn, and those small pieces of paper are perfect as well. So senses items, journal, pen, and either fire or a hole to bury with a box. Here are some of the ways that you can do this. Again, pick the pieces that fit for you and leave what does not. I like to start with lighting a candle to signify the beginning of the process. So you can say a prayer if it works good for you to do that, or just set your intention around the clarity that you want. It could be simple, like, I am looking within to find the clarity I crave. I know I have this within me and I call it up. Or, dear God, I am here for connection and clarity. May you bless me with the answers I seek. And of course, make it as long as it feels right for you. And then I'll open my journal and I'll make a column of my wants in general or in a specific situation, whatever happens to be calling me. All the things that I desire or want in this situation or at the moment. And then I draw a line down the middle of the page and I create a second column, why I want this. And I turn that into a feeling. So if what I am wanting from a relationship with a friend is deeper connection, I'll write that on one side and I'll say to myself, well, how would that feel if I had deeper connection? Just like we did back in question 1, what do I really want? And it might be, wow, I really could use just the feeling of connection, right? The feeling of companionship, of kindness, of intimacy, right? So we will write those down in the second column, all the feelings. And then out of all the things that you want in that second column, the why you want what you want, pick 3 to 5 of the feelings that feel best. I often just circle them and then write them again at the bottom. And then state them to yourself. I will often state them to myself 10 times before I move on, but you can do whatever feels right to you. It might be something like, I really want joy, compassion, grace. And I like to light incense or sprinkle some essential oils on myself as I bring to light my new intentions so that I can bring it into my body. And then I can always use that scent again to bring me back to my intentions whenever I want. So I'll use the same incense scent, I'll use the same essential oil scent, and let it bring me back. And then I ground myself for a minute and bring in those feelings, maybe even seeing myself in those feelings. So take a moment and see yourself feeling exactly how you want to feel, exactly why you want what you want. And I'll sit and I'll ground myself with that vision. And when I'm ready, I'll move on to the next question. What do I control? And I'll imagine the ways that I can empower myself with my intentions and goals. What gifts and strengths do I have that I can use? How can I mindfully attend my intentions and wants? What do I control around this in time, energy, and space? So all the things that I can actually control that align with my intentions and my goals. And I'll write down some commitments about focusing on what I can control. So it might be, I am a figure outer, and that's one of my strengths. And so I'm going to use my figure outedness to be able to move forward. It might be that I'm going to use kindness or compassion to move forward. It might be that I can control the attitude and how I show up to the thing, which is usually what I choose to control, is how I show up. So read those commitments to yourself and reground. And then I go right into the question, what do I need to accept? First, we can start with fears and discomfort and blocks, especially the what ifs. What if this might be challenging, that I might upset a friend with my truth, that this is not going to turn out how I want, even if I make my commitments. That fear and negative self-talk will show up. It might be that there will be days when I forget to focus on what I want and get out of alignment with all the things that I want. It might be that I might have to start again, that I might have to do it more than once to get it right, that I might not get what I want, that I don't control how these other people show up, that I might be judged, right? So all these fears and all these what ifs, write them all down, one on each of the piece of those small papers that you brought with you. So you're going to write them all down, one of those fears or what ifs or things, hard things, those things that you need to accept on each paper. And when you've written them all down, what I like to do is just notice that sometimes there's actually some exciting stuff in there too, because the exciting stuff can be just as scary as the scary stuff sometimes, because it's exciting usually means new, unbridled, rash decisions can be made. So just keep in mind that even exciting stuff may show up on these pieces of paper, and that's completely okay. And then I take some breaths. I breathe in that same incense or oil, start remembering my intentions again, those 3 to 5 words. And when I go through the list of that pile of papers, when I am truly grounded in my intentions, and I'm searching because I'm looking for the realistic, probable truths. If I want to feel peace, kindness, and compassion, am I willing to accept this and move through it? Is this a fear that is serving me to do what I want to do? How will I use what is in my control to manage it? And then I go through that pile of papers and I resolve each one. This is an unrealistic what if that might actually happen, right? It could happen, but it's probably like 1 in a million that I'm making up scary stories. So I start getting the realistic, probable truths. And there may be some truths that are actually truthful, right? Like I might fail. I might have to start over again. That's all very possible if I'm trying something new. And yet I can look at that and say, am I able to move through this? If I fail and have to start over, will I be okay? And most of the time, we will be. It's very, very uncomfortable. It's not unsafe. So then I can accept all of those things. And once we've accepted that all those things are a possibility, but we do not need to actually focus on it, then we can put them to rest. We can honor the messages. These are messages that want us to stay comfortable. They're telling us you're going to be uncomfortable, and that is scary to us as humans. They aren't serving us anymore, but the fact that our brains are so good at finding the uncomfortable in order to keep us safe is actually a beautiful thing. It's a safety feature, and sometimes, lots of times, it works overtime to keep us small. Now, as an empowered woman, I can manage my discomfort around fear and still move through it. I thank the messages for trying to keep me safe, and I mindfully step into accepting I do not control everything and I don't have to. Then I say something to myself like, I lay these fears to rest. I accept that these are things I can't necessarily control. I accept that there will be challenges and learning. I'm committed to what I want, and I can use those feelings to help me going, those intentions. Or, of course, more specific things that you resolve those with. I also write these down because it's nice to remind myself that I've already resolved to walk with the fears. Then I step into, what am I moving into? How do I want to show up? Since I want, let's say, peace, kindness, and compassion, I am going to show up with peace, kindness, and compassion. You choose how many of these. I use as many as I think it can go for a while, but make a list in your journal. Here's something about writing it down for having it as a reminder. Every day I'm going to find ways to feel more peace, kindness, compassion. When I make decisions, I am going to keep peace, compassion, and kindness in mind. When I go to work, mother my children, come home, go on vacation, go to the doctor, I am going to keep peace, compassion, and kindness in mind. Then I read them to myself as an announcement to the universe. And this is just me, but I like to make a chime, a bell, a rattle after each commitment I make myself. Then, because it's me, I make up some type of art to hang to remind me of my intentions. I often paint the words onto candles so that I can burn them intentionally, or how I want to show up, right? So I also use little notes to put around my house, usually at my computer, my bathroom mirror, lots of different places. So I am constantly focused on what I say I really want, which is aligning with how I want to feel should I be successful. So let's just, and then of course I just close out with a short prayer of gratitude. And I thank myself for taking time to get the clarity that I needed, and I blow out that candle. So just to wrap up the 4 questions, what do I want? What do I control? What can I accept? How do I want to show up? You can also find the full transcript below if you are a visual learner like me and you want to read the instructions or the outline to the ritual. You can get the entire transcript below. I hope that this has been helpful for you today, that you're getting a little bit more clarity on what you need. If you need more help, reach on out and I'd be happy to follow up with you and answer any of your questions. I hope that you are going to be compassionate and gentle with your humanness today. Hey, one more thing. When we are all more confident and full of self-love, we can act more intentionally and mindfully. What would a world like that look like? I want to know. One way that you can help me with this vision is to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast wherever you listen to it. It helps more than you know, and it's just a few clicks to help me create a more beautiful world. And as always, remember to be gentle with your humanness.